Aristotle, who is one of the minds in the forming of the Western world, Aristotle had a method called formal logic. Formal logic, as you can see on the slide, is the means by which we came to know anything. That means that he would use premises, and from the premises, it would lead him to the conclusion. Look at how they took formal logic so that they could make racist thought make sense. Number one, it was a major premise. And the major premise they used in America, all men are made in the image of God. Then, number two, they come up with the minor premise. God, as everybody knows, is not a Negro. Now remember, all men are made in the image of God. But God ain't a Negro. So when you see a Negro, he's not in the image of God. So what's the conclusion? Therefore, the Negro is not a man. It was easy to put us in there, and they only put us in there as 3/5 of a human being so that the South could count and get more electoral college votes. And the reason that they didn't count us as a full human being, because we were their property. And guess what? The Southern plantation owners didn't want to pay property tax. Man, I'm telling you, when we get down to the truth of what's going on in this land, we'll wonder, how did we go along with this as far as we did? We're almost finished with this portion, family. I want to deal more with our identity, because if we can't define who we are, it's hard for us to take the next step as a social group and really begin to repair ourselves in the areas that we need repairing. We need repair spiritually. Our morals have been destroyed, but you're not going to live another way till you see yourself another way. The strength of our minds is moral. It's not just intelligent. Intelligent people rule over us. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, when you're intelligent and you lack character, when you're intelligent but you're still immoral, you're really a devil in human form. So the last identity that we started going by is African American. And I'm gonna conclude on that point. African American. It's a name that doesn't really describe us. You say, well, wait a minute, Brother Muhammad. We're from Africa. We're in America. That makes us African American. Yeah, but how are you in America? See, you and I are in America in a way where we were grafted and taken away from any kind of way we were, any language that we had, any religion that we had, any cultural expressions that we had. All of our ways of communication were cut off. You only need study the history of the drum and how they begin to see our communication through such that they begin to cut off everything that made being a slave holder, a slave trader, a slave master, anything that made those tasks difficult. They had to make sure that we were cut off from anything of being African as we were when we first came. That's why people come from Africa and have been coming for years. And you still don't have a real connection with them. Wearing a dashiki don't connect you with African people. Putting up African statues and pictures around your house, it's symbolic. But you and I have no program to save the African from neo-colonialistic approaches. The African is looking for help. No, family, anything about us that was African was destroyed. And we have been made over. They never called you an African. They called you a Negro. They called you a coon. They called you colored people. But they never called you an African. Now you're saying you're African American. Well, you know, in 1990, University of Maryland, I believe it was, they had programs for students. And in these students were receiving benefits, but black in America were being left shortchanged. So they fought to get some language in there that would be more specific so that it would help black folks in America be able to get into the halls of this institution. So a Pakistani came to America and he applied for this, and they said, that's for African Americans. And he said, well, you know, I'm Pakistani, but I lived in Africa before I came here. And now I'm here and attained American citizenship. So the fact that I lived in Africa and the fact that I got American citizenship now, it makes me African American. And you know what happened? Supreme Court ruled in his favor, and he was given $150,000 to help him in the schooling. And some black person in America was unable to get that because, family, we didn't have the right terminology, which is really more correct is blacks in America, but a black American would have done that. So I'm going to take leave and give us some things to think about. Why have other ethnic groups, you know, been able to come in and move with their social group and their social order and everything right past us, and we've been here longer than everyone? These are questions we got to grapple with now, and why we're frozen at the bottom of the socio-economic rung and ladder in this country. I thank the Honorable Louis Farrakhan for the kind of leadership that he has shown. And one of the clearest ways he teaches us to get rid of racism is through black accomplishment and black excellence. That doesn't mean that white people are going to love you if you begin to excel, but what it does mean is they're going to respect you. Haven't you noticed that they call us the N-word back so many generations? And they go back maybe 400 years, 500 years. But when you get into the 2,500 years ago and that, notice that even members of the Klan, and J.B. Stoner is through letters disputing with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And you can see some of this communication in Message to the Black Man. You don't see him when he refers to our people thousands of years ago. He don't use the N-word when he's referring to us. Why? You can't look at pyramids. You can't look at great universities. You can't look at learning. You can't look at white folks coming out of Greece and all that, sitting at the feet of our fathers, learning wisdom, learning civilization that they could take back and begin to set up their schools of thought and call that person the N-word. You look silly calling that person that. So even the Ku Klux Klanmen didn't call us that after you go back so far, because what you left on the earth demonstrates the excellency of the people in those civilizations. If they look down on those people, then why are they over there digging up the earth trying to find artifacts and find the hidden cities that we have placed under the sand and that? No, because they don't see that. They call you that and they call me that because they made us right here in their own factory. The same way the German doctor Frankenstein made a monster. The monster didn't have a name. The monster was named after the one that made him. That's why he's called Frankenstein. He ain't called Frankenstein because he's fierce and ugly and dangerous. He's called Frankenstein because the one that made him called him that. You and I have been called names because the one that made us called us that. But God is making us now. And we're looking at a man that God has made. And he's free of every malady. He's free of every tool in the factory to break a black man down and make him something less than what God intended him to be. We got evidence that God has come and he's interested in the black man and woman here in these United States of America. And that evidence is in one man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I thank you for being with us this Sunday, and I greet you in peace and ask that you join us next week at 11 a.m. Assalamu alaikum.